In this video, we're going to create an acid lead layer, not the classic 303, so don't jump on the comments and say that that doesn't sound like a 303. We're just creating an acid style lead for this, and it's going to be something that helps gel or sit with the mid basses in this uplifting trance track that we're working on here, and sort of like tie in the plucks and leads as well. It adds movement, a little bit of interest and flavour to the sound as well. And the project that we're working on today, if you want to get hold of it, you can go onto my Patreon and you can get the video and the project file as well as the presets and samples used in there. However, make sure you're on the correct tier to get the project file, as every tier gets access to the video, but not every tier gets access to the Cubase file. So let's get started with the sound design. We're going to set up the main premise of this sound. So we're going to go to factory and pulse width. And then we can use this frame selector here to change that pulse width. And then we're going to have a second oscillator with a saw wave on, but for now, I'm going to turn it down to 0. Both are going to go through to filter 1. Let's turn filter 1 on and put that to a high pass. And I'm just going to reduce the resonance for now and set this to somewhere midway here. So we've got a nice curve. With that, we can set up the voices. So I'm going to set up 8 voices with this one and 8 voices with this one. Bearing in mind we can't hear this yet. And I'm going to turn down the unison blend to 0. So we've got them voices all stacked up in the same position. I'm going to leave the phase randomization on 100 on each one, but we're going to choose different phase positions to sort of blend these two waveforms together. But for now, we don't need to worry too much about that. Right, so let's play what we've got. I'm just going to turn this down. And we're going to create a little bit of movement using this LFO here. So we're going to do it over 2 bars. You can do it over whatever you like. And we're going to change this to sync mode, because if we leave it on trigger, every time a note hits, it's just going to start this LFO back at the beginning, which is not what we need. I'm going to attach LFO 1 to the filter, and we're going to attach it to the cutoff in particular. And then, just as a quick visual way, go to the matrix and choose bipolar here. So now it's going to operate either side of this setting for the cutoff. And I'm going to edit the distance that travels. I'm going to do about 1/4 of the way. And we're going to shape the pulse width here. Sounds okay about there. And we've got the sort of basis of our sound now. So in the effects, I'm just going to jump in and add some distortion to start with. And I'm going to add the hard clip and then a post filter. So it's shaping it after the hard clip has happened. And I'm just going to roll out the lows a little bit there. And blend that into taste. I've just increased the drive a little bit, and the hard clipping just adds a little bit more grit to the sound compared to the soft clip. All right, so let's blend in the second oscillator now. So all this is doing is adding just that little bit more bite into the sound. You can use any wavetable you want for this and just explore and experiment, but I'm trying to keep it nice and simple so you can follow along and obviously make this preset at home. But that's just adding a little bit more flavor into the sound. We're not trying to drastically change it, but just enough to give it a bit more bite. So what we're going to do now is set the phase positions of these, and the reason that we can set phase positions is to either increase click or decrease click. It really depends on what you desire for your sound. And what I mean by click is this phase position here set to 180, which is straight down the middle. And if we go either side of the 180, that's going to go either left or right. And it's going to pick a point in this waveform here, somewhere in there, where it's going to bite more or where it's going to be less bitey. So I'm just going to turn this off for a second. Wrong one. Okay, so I'm not dwelling on that too much. It's very subtle differences, but I'm just trying to offset them so we get the best out of each sound and we're getting that nice sharp sound. So putting the filter back on. Okay, so let's add the final touches. I'm going to use LFO1 here to control the resonance as well. And that is on bipolar. All right, so now that we've got that, we can add the final touches to the sound. Jump into the effects. We're going to have obviously distortion, and then I've turned on the EQ, the delay, and then there's optional compression depending on the sound design that you're wanting to do. We don't use it in this one today. So the EQ, I'm just going to roll out some of the lows. So I'm actually going to use a shelf and just roll them out to like, say, 100 to 150 hertz, because I want this to be sort of thin, this sound. And then I'm just going to sort of boost the energy in that upper mid to top level. Okay, just checking levels, making sure I'm not boosting anything too much. You can see that brings out a lot of sparkle, a lot more bite and crunch out of the sound in the top end. And then for the delay, just choose ping pong, and I'm going to use dotted in this particular case. And then I'm going to bring the spread down, which creates like a band pass here on this particular delay. And then when you roll this upwards, we can just eliminate the low end of the sound, and then we can have some control over the highs and lows. So if you want more highs coming through, just bring the spread up. So I'm dampening indefinitely the lows and the highs, and obviously you can set this with the cutoff position. So around there sounds good. And then if we have a bit of context here, let's just bring this down. I just want to make sure I've got the track working. I'm just going to get rid of the leads out of this and just listen to this. Okay, and then on this track, I've got some extra stereo delay to sit on top and an effects modulator, which is just volume shaping here, using volume, just a typical sidechain feature. Let's have a look at the delay. 1/8, 1/8. So now we've got straight 8th rhythm just sort of layered on the top, and I've rolled out a lot of the lows here as well. And then finally, if we look on the mixer, we can see I've got a low cut up to just about short of 700 hertz there to make sure that it's not interfering with the rest of the track, and it's positioned where I need it. And if you want it to flow a little bit less than what it is now, you can just increase the sidechain. And obviously out of context with everything else, like you'd have a lot more stuff going on, this will blend nicely and just create that little bit of movement. Just as a bonus tip, you can use things like flangers and phasers in there and choruses in ways to make things move, as well as using velocities as well. So here you can see there's all the same velocity, but you can change the levels and make some movement that way. But using a phaser, for example, if we use the Adam Sarsbo phaser, A little bit small on screen, but you can create some nice movement here with this. So you can see that works nicely. It does remove a little bit of the sparkle off the top, so if you're looking for that, you might have to do some processing after if you want this on, or just don't use it or have less on the mix. So we have a nice little tidy sound there for Vital. Again, if you followed along, you've got a free preset there. But if you want to download it and get access to these videos early, you can be a Patreon supporter. All tier levels get access to early videos before they go live on YouTube, including the presets and etc. that I use. As long as I say in the videos that they're in there, they will be available. And if you want to be a higher level tier supporter, you get access to Cubase projects, exclusive discounts, exclusive packs. There's all that good stuff in there as well. So if you want to be a patron, that's absolutely fine. I appreciate your support, but if you don't worry about it. Your support here on YouTube is just as valuable. So thank you very much for watching. I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.